Have you ever heard of a poppy project? A poppy project is poppies that are usually associated to Remembrance Day on November 11th of every year. And different organizations come together and they make an installation, and the installation can be used time and time and time again. But to actually make the installation, you do require people to hand make, whether it's crochet or knit or could be anything else, these little poppies. This particular crochet poppy is 4 inches by 4 inches in the flat section and 5 inches by 5 in this area. Now with this kind of concept, you'll see it in different areas like museums or legions or anything like that, but make sure you do get your permission from the property owner before you go ahead and put something on it. So today I'm going to have a free pattern for you. So if you'd like to skip ahead in today's tutorial, you can do so. Use the video chapters in the video description, but I'll talk a little bit more about the poppy project. So the poppy is actually relatively small in the sense that you can get a lot of poppies out of one ball of yarn. So if you were using Red Heart Super Saver in Cherry Red, for example, you will get 33 poppies out of that one ball of yarn. And the black area, because it's so small, you can actually get 99 black areas just like that out of one ball of Red Heart Super Saver. So this goes a long way. So you don't necessarily need a lot of yarn in order to make something like this happen. Now when you're putting it onto a mesh, and they're like a plastic protector for plants to keep out wildlife in order to do that. So what they do is that using the poppy project, we don't have you take the ends off, because when you submit it, the volunteers will just use those ends and they'll tie it to the mesh and then clean it up and make it look good. And so when they're putting it onto the mesh, they don't want it to put side by side. They want a little bit of spacing so that you can really highlight the fact that it is a poppy. Really cool to make and really can really be outstanding. It gets a lot of publicity when these things go up, and the best thing, as I mentioned, I think, is that it is reusable. So at the end of the display, which the displays are only about a week, if it's been rained on, make sure that it's completely dry before you roll it back up and store it, and then you can pull it out year after year once it's done. So on screen is an art installation of something that was here local, and they approximately had about 1,500 poppies on the 2 drapes that were existing on that building. And so the draping was actually about 22 feet in length, and it was 6 inches wide. So they used a rolled mesh, and they just laid it out on some tables, and they just applied those without having to bend over on the floor in order to be able to do that. Once they had that done, they rolled it up, and then they took it outside, and then they hoisted it up to the building, and then they put it into locking it into position. So there was a board attached to the one side of the long area, so they just had to pull at the board, and then it just unwound itself, and then volunteers kind of tacked it down. So it's a really neat concept. Now here's the rough count. You need approximately 34 poppies in order to do one 6-foot wide by 1 foot of a distance. So 34 poppies can be spread out for that. So what we have is a little worksheet for you. We have information to be able to do something like that if that's of interest to you. We have the pattern, as well as I put some goals. So if you actually completed 34, you're actually completing one 6-foot space by 1 foot of distance in order to do that. But this is supposed to be a community effort, so everybody's supposed to jump in and get involved. You can also see with our local group that was done here, there is instructions on how they did it and the way that they assembled everything together. And this was a really cool idea. Now, the organizers may say they only want a certain type of color, but I actually think a little bit of tinging from the tinges of red actually make it look more interesting, looks more three-dimensional when you have different tinges of red, but that's up to the organizers to do that. I also put together a crochet diagram for those that would like to use that as an example, and today's tutorial is also going to have that as well. So if you're interested in doing a poppy project, you'll just have to check online to see who's actively involved. On our website, we are going to keep that updated, so if anybody's interested to hosting anything like this, you do need a lot of time, because as much as there's many crocheters and knitters out there, this is only a crochet pattern. That's all I have. People need time in order to volunteer in order to do that, and then it took a lot of volunteers to make that, put it on the net, because they just had to tie it and clean up the back end of it. So that's something that is really cool. And without further ado, let's go down to the studio and let's show you how to make one of these. I'm going to give some tips that are not in the pattern too. You love tips. Let's do it. Let's start by creating a slip knot, and we need about 10 inches of distance because they're going to use that to tie it to the mesh, so just guess it. And then you're going to begin by chaining 2. So 1 and 2. And let's begin our first round. We only have 1 round of black. Second chain from the hook, you're going to apply 12 double crochet. So wrap the hook and going second chain, so the beginning one, and just double crochet 12 times. We have 1, 2, 3, 11, and 12. Now, even though I'm experienced and I did count it, I always double count to make sure. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Once I have the 12, I'm going to slip stitch it to the beginning double crochet, so ignore the chain 2 that we skipped over, and just slip stitch it, and we're going to leave a 10-inch length here. So we're just going to snip it and pull that through and let it fall to the back, and keep that on the back of your poppies so they can use that to tie. So let's begin with the color red. Leave about 10 inches before you create a slip knot and put that onto the needle. Bring back your project with the right side facing, so it's kind of bowling up towards you, that's how you know. And it's right here. This is the first one where we did the attaching to, the slip stitch. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to yarn over, pull through, and through. So that attached it, and then chain 2. The chain 2 will not count as a stitch, it's a builder. And in the same one that you did the attaching to, put 2 double crochet in it. So just let the tail just stay out of the way and on the back so they can use it, just tie it to the mesh. So it's 2 into this one. So you're going to apply 2 double crochet into each one of these double crochets all the way around. And I'm going to show you a little cheating technique at the end that's not in the pattern because I think it looks better that way. And I'll show you that in a second. So I'm about to do the 12th one, and I'm going to just do it. And I'm going to show you something that happens with crochet that drives me nuts. And especially when there's a color change like this that is so significant between the black and the red. So after the last 2 are in there and I have my 12 sets, you slip stitch to the beginning double crochet. And see this little space right here? That bothers me so much. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to back out, and on the last one, I am going to, it's still only going to be 2 double crochet, but watch what I do with the second one. So put your first one in as you know it, and then do a double crochet 2 together using this space with this stitch and this space. This is not a stitch right here, but we're just going to use it anyway. So we wrap and we pull through 2 and hold it, and then we go into this joining space, going in, pull through 2 and hold. And then I yarn over, pull through everything. So this does not change the stitch count on the round, but it just adds an extra leg in there. So when you slip stitch it to the beginning, it looks more condensed. Okay, so that's something that I would do for myself if you weren't watching me. So let's move on to round number 3. Okay, round number 3, we're gonna start shaping this thing. So we're going to start by chaining 2. And in the first one that you've done the join with, and in the next 3, so 4 in a row, they'll each be 2 double crochet each. So I got 1 in there. Okay, there's got 1 there, so there's 2 and 2 so far. So you put 2 in this one, this is the 3rd time, and the next one is the 4th. So there's 4 stitches in a row that each have 2 double crochets in it. The next 2 are just going to be single crochet, so just come on down and single crochet. And then the next 4 in a row are each going to be 2 double crochet each. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. So after this group of 4 is done, the next 2 are single crochet. So I need you to do that all the way around, and I'll see you at the end of the round in a moment. And coming all the way around, my last grouping of 4 is here. It will leave 2 stitches at the end, and you'll single crochet both of those. and then slip stitch it to the top of the first double crochet. And we're finally going to go on to our last round, which will complete our poppy. So let's begin number 4. Nice easy round 2. So we're going to chain 2, will not count as a stitch. The first 3 in a row, including the one with the join, is going to be 1 double crochet by itself. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So we need to grow the petal out so it's going to sit beautifully. So the next 2 in a row will each have 2 double crochets in it. Okay, and then the next 3 in a row of the double crochets, because there's only 3 double crochet left, they're each going to be a double crochet. So it's the middle 2 of each of the petals that gets the 2 double crochet, if that helps you to know that. The 2 singles, just put in a single in each. And so this will bowl up a little bit towards you, but nothing crazy. And then we restart again. So the first 3 in a row will each be a double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. The next 2 in a row are in the middle of the petal, so they each get 2 double crochet. Okay, the next 3 in a row that will conclude this petal will be 1 double crochet each. And then the next 2 singles in a row will each be a single. So please do this all the way around. I'll see you at the end of the round. Coming around, the last 2 before the ending is just a single crochet in each. And then you're just going to slip stitch it to the top of the first double crochet or to the beginning of double crochet, and then that's it. So they don't want you weaving in your ends, leave about 10 inches, and therefore just pull this through. And when they're securing this to the mesh, they'll want to tie it so that this is the top of the mesh. So when it's hanging down, this will hold it up, because if you tie it this way, this can flop down, and then the back section right here can be tied to the mesh. So I would recommend that you tie this side to a top of the mesh or wherever it's going to hang, so that it wants to stay open all the time. That's it for today. We hope you enjoy, and leave me a comment below if you felt this was helpful. We'll see you. Bye-bye.